Hello everyone, and welcome to the lecture series for the preparation of CLAT examination. In this lecture series, we are talking about the legal reasoning portion of your CLAT examination, which we have been dealing with the important areas for the preparation for the CLAT examination. In this particular lecture series, we have already completed the law of contracts. We have completed a law of crimes, the Indian Penal Code, the law of torts, and in the previous video from previous videos we've been discussing about the Constitution of India. We have discussed part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and part 4a of the Constitution, which talks about the Constitution, the Union and the territories. The second part talking about the citizenship. The third part which talks about the fundamental rights. Fourth being the directive principles of state policy, and fifth being the fundamental duties. Now we are going to discuss about part 5 of the Constitution, which is talking about the Union. Because when we are talking about the Constitution, we need to know that what exactly the government is made up of. And if we say that when we talk about the government, it is talking about the central government. So central government, if you remember that when we talked about India, the features of India, it is a federal structure. So federal structure means that there is a division of power, and division of power is between the center and the state. When we talk about center, we are talking about the parliament plus the president. And when you talk about parliament itself, it is further subdivided into Lok Sabha, which is known as the lower house, and Rajya Sabha, which is known as the upper house. Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha both comprise along with the secretariat. Secretariat is one which is going to take care of all the administrative functions whichsoever is going to happen under the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, and all these three combined, they form the parliament. All these information whichsoever I'm providing you is been mentioned under the chapter 1, that is the executives. The executives, as you know, when you talk about the government is divided into three major organs. What are those? The organs is divided into legislature, executive, and the third one being judiciary. These three organs are that organs that which we are going to study under the part 5 of the Constitution. The first one, which we are going to discuss, is actually the executive. The executive, if we talk, it comprises of the president plus its council of ministers, and this council of minister is going to aid and advise the president, and based on those aid and advice only, the president is supposed to work. So that is why when we talk about India is considered a democratic form of government where we vote. And apart from democracy, India is also considered as a republican. When we talk about a republican form of government, the president is considered to be the nominal head, meaning which the president doesn't have extraordinary powers it is only through the aid and advice of his council of ministers, that the president is going to work. So, in this current video, what we are going to discuss is the powers of the president, how the executive functions, and what are the limitations, how the president can be impeached. When we talk about part 5 of the constitution and its relevancy with the CLAT examination, we have to be very specific that which article we are going to refer and which article should be exempted. I will be going through each and every article, but those articles which are not relevant, we will be skipping those articles and we will be directly moving forward with the relevant ones. And I will try to explain to you the importance of part 5 and how you're going to make sure that once you retain this information is going to be very much helpful for you, not only in your CLAT examination, but also during your college uh, career. When you will be studying these parts, it will give you an extra edge in order to understand how actually the working of the government actually is taking place. What are the actual powers of the president and how the executive specifically works. So let's try to understand the whole topic and let's move forward. We have already covered till article 51A, and now we are moving with the article 52 of the constitution. The article 52 of the constitution is specifically saying that the president of India, that there shall be a president of India. What does that mean? Why is it so that article 52 just only means that there shall only be president of India? If you can go and see, article 53 is something different. So why is it that article being mentioned? It is mentioned because you see the word shall. You see the word shall, and this gives the strength that the president, it is necessary to have a president. It is compulsory to have a president in India. Without the president, the executives cannot function. How we are sure about this? Because article 52 specifically mentions that there shall be a president of India. Okay. Now, let's try to understand how this is relevant and executive powers of the union. That is something that we're going to discuss. First, let's understand that how the election of the president will take place, because we have under article 52, we have studied that there shall be a president of India. Okay. Now we know that there will be a president of India. Okay. But how will he be elected? How he will be elected? This is something that is very important for you to understand, that when we're talking about the election of the president, how the election of the president will take place, we need to understand it, because when the questions will be there, all the questions will be in the form, all the questions that will be there in your CLAT examination will be in the form of statement and assumptions, where which a specific article will be given in the form of statement, and then there will be a storyline or a paragraph that will be put in front of you, and you will be asked multiple questions over the same. So that is why it becomes very important for you to understand that how the whole procedure of election of the president will take place. Let's try to understand what the article says. The article starts with the statement of that the president shall be elected by the members of electoral college. Okay, now what is electoral college? So electoral college is nothing. It is a number of people. Okay, it is a number of people who will be coming from different areas. Different area means some will be from the parliament, some will be from other legislative bodies, some will be from other areas, but there will be some people who will be coming and then they will be giving their vote through secret ballot. Okay, through secret ballot, meaning which their vote will not be revealed in front of the public, they will just write down the name. The nominations will be there. They will be writing down the name and they will be putting in the secret ballot. And then the counting will take place and then the president will be elected. But who will all be the members of the electoral college? Let's try to understand it. The first one will be the elected members of both the houses of the parliament. As we have just discussed that both the houses means the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. And when we talk about the elected members, what do we understand by elected members here? Which means that members who has been chosen by the people who are actually governing. So whenever there is any election that takes place, whether it be for an MLA, whether it for MP, member of parliament, or member of legislative assembly, or for Rajya Sabha, all those members who have been elected there and who are sitting there because they have been elected on that particular seat, they will be chosen to from those elected members. Some people will be chosen to elect the president. Okay, the president shall be elected by members of electoral consisting of the elected members of the legislative assembly of the state. So one portion of the members will be from the parliament, which means that it will be from the elected members of the Lok Sabha and the elected members of the Rajya Sabha. From the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, there will be people who will be the elected members of the parliament, and they will be coming up for the electoral college. They will be chosen in the electoral college. Elected members from the Lok Sabha, elected members from the Rajya Sabha, and the elected members of the legislative assemblies of all the states. Legislative assembly of all the states, meaning which every state, whether it be Uttar Pradesh, whether it be Madhya Pradesh, from every state, the legislative assembly, which we also call as Vidhan Sabha, all the elected members of that assembly of all the states will be coming under the electoral college and they will be voting. Okay, so election, this will be the electoral college. Now, how the election will take place? Now, it is mentioned that as far as practicable means it depends on the practicality that there shall be a uniformity in the scale of representation of different states at the election of the president. For the purpose of securing such uniformity, securing such uniformity among the states, inter se as well as parity between the states a whole and the union, the number of votes which each elective members of the parliament and the legislative assembly of each state is entitled to cast at such elections shall be determined in the following manner. And what is that manner? Every elected members of the legislative assembly of a state shall have as many votes as there are multiple of 1000 in the quotient obtained by dividing the population of the state by the total number of elected members of the assembly. Okay. What does that mean? It means that let's take the example that there are 1000, let's take an example, there are 10,000 persons in one state, 10,000 only. Okay. And there were 10 seats that were given to that particular state. Okay. That particular state, elected members of the legislative assembly of the state shall have as many votes as there are multiple of 1000 in the quotient obtained by dividing the population of the state by the total number of elected members of the assembly. Now, this is the total number of population divided by this, and then it will be 1000, okay, in the multiple of 1000. So there are 10,000 people. So if you multiply it by it, if you divide by 10,000, then it will be 10. It will be 1000 divided by this. It will be, okay, let me do it. So for your better understanding, let me clear it out and let me clear it again. So the total number of population is 10,000. Number of seats number of seats in a state in the Vidhan Sabha is this. So what we are going to do is we are going to divide the population with the number of seats, and as there are multiples of 1000 in the quotient obtained, now this will be 1 upon 1000, and this is how we are going to deduct and see that how many votes will be there. So for elected members, 1 vote will be there if the population is 10,000, number of seats is 10. And how we do it? We divide the quotient in the multiples of 1000 to get the number of elected members, that how many votes will be there. So number of votes will be calculated through this particular phenomenon. Okay. So we remember in the previous article we studied that the electoral college will be consisting of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha elected members. And when we talk about the states, in order to have the practicality that, okay, Uttar Pradesh has more number of seats, and because the population is there. So how many votes will be there? It will be depending over the number of population that is there in Uttar Pradesh divided by the number of seats. In Uttar Pradesh are 80 seats. So number of population divided by 80 into 1 upon 1000. Okay. And then we calculate it, you will get the number that how many seats will be allocated to that particular person. But that information is not actually very important in regards to a CLAT examination. Why I have just explained it to you? Because sometimes this particular thing will be asked to you, that as many as when you talk about the elected members, they will be putting that as there are multiples of, instead of 1000 in the question, they will be mentioning 1 lakh. Okay. Or they will be mentioning 100. And then the whole paragraph will be put in front of you. And then you will be asked, the statement is true, the statement is false, both the statements are wrong, and in this manner you will have to answer. So you have to be very much particular as to what exactly is the digits or what exactly is the figure that has been mentioned. And what is another important portion that you need to remember is that when you talk about the electoral college, what are the people who will be there? It will be first the elected members of parliament, that is the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha elected members, plus what? The legislative assemblies of each state elected members. So these three will consist in the electoral college, and how the votes will be calculated, I have just informed to you. And if now this is something that you don't need to worry about, this is not important for you. And then the another important point that you need to remember is the term of the office of president. What is the term of the office of president? Till what time the president is there? For the president shall hold the office for a term of 5 years. So this is very important for you. The questions will be under which article it has been mentioned that the president will hold the office for 5 years. The article 56. Okay. Now, this is the normal tenure. This is the normal tenure. Now the question is, can it be extended or can it be reduced? The answer to both the question is yes. And what is the procedure? The procedure is that the term of office of the president shall be 5 years. 5 years, provided that the president may, by writing under his hand, address to the vice president. So, what he can address? That resignation from his office. Because of his personal problems, because of any reasons which he might not be willing to disclose, if he wants to resign from the post, yes, he has the power, authority to resign. He has to provide his resignation in writing. So, what are the important requisites that you need to remember? The first thing is that it will be addressed to whom? It will be addressed to the vice president. What happens is then when you will be asked in the question, instead of the vice president, it shall be mentioned the Chief Justice of India. Chief Justice of India. So what we need to make sure is that whenever we are reading this art, whenever we are reading these type of questions, we are very much sure that what exactly is the nomenclature of the constitution. Whether the constitution is actually saying that whenever there is resignation, president has to resign, to whom it has to be addressed? It has to be addressed to the vice president. Please remember, it is to be addressed to the vice president, not the chief justice of India, not to the speaker, not to any other person, but only to the vice president of India. And how will it be presented? Can he just orally say it? No, it has to be in writing. May by writing under his hand. Now, what does it means? Under his hand. By writing under his hand. What do you mean? It means that the things whatsoever he has been read, what has been written there, it should be duly signed and stamped by the president. That yes, it is me only who is giving this letter to the vice president, addressing to the vice president that I don't want to continue on the post of the president and I wish to resign. And the second is the president may, for violation of the constitution, may removed from office by impeachment in the manner provided in Article 61. But for your general knowledge, I would like to tell you that till so far, no president has been impeached. Okay. So the procedure, as you mentioned under Article 56, we are going to discuss that also. But till now, what we have understood is that the term of the office of the president will be 5 years, but he can be removed by impeachment process, which has been mentioned under Article 61. And also he can resign from his post by giving a letter signed under his hand in writing to whom? To the Vice President of India. And once he has given this letter to the Vice President of India, it will be the Vice President who will be taken into that consideration, and it is not something where which the President can be stopped from doing. The President can resign on his own without any questions asked, whether it be where certain times it is a question that is often asked by me that, sir, if the president wants to resign, does he has to, or is it compulsory for him to take the permission of the cabinet minister? Because you have explained us this particular fact that whatsoever president is going to do, he is going to do in by the aid and advice of the council of minister. The answer is no. The president, by his own choice or his own choice, can resign from the post by writing to the vice president under his name. The third one is the president. Okay, now, so what we have understood, that first one is resignation. Second one is impeachment. The third one is expiration of his term, continue to hold office until successor enter upon his office. Extension till successor is there. So certain times what happens is it takes some time from one president whenever there are elections, because there will be elections that will be taking place at certain time, because of impossibilities, it becomes highly impossible for the president to just post completion of the tenure of the president. Another president might get elected, because there are different elections that are taking place in different regions. So because of the clash of the elections, certain times it get exceeded. So these are the three ways by which the tenure, the term of the president can be increased or decreased. But you need to remember, if these three things are not happening, that the tenure of the president will be 5 years. Okay. This is not important for you. You can skip this article. Now, this also you can skip. Qualifications for the election of the president is very important. Okay, now what we have understood is that there will be a president. From the president, how the president will be elected? So election will take place through electoral college, which will consist of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and legislative assemblies of all states. The term will be 5 years, but it can be reduced or increased by impeachment mentioned under Article 61 of the Constitution, by resignation mentioned under Article 56, 56 of the Constitution, 56, right? Yeah, 56A. Yeah, 56A. 56A of the Constitution, or by extension until the other successor is appointed by 56C of the Constitution. Now, what exactly are the qualifications? What are the qualifications? The qualifications are: no person shall be eligible for the election of the president. First one is, he should be a citizen of India. Very easy. Citizen of India. Completed 35 years of age. There is always a confusion between president and the Lok Sabha members. For the Lok Sabha, the age is 25 years. For the president, it is 35 years. Okay. And so same goes for Rajya Sabha also. Rajya Sabha members. Is qualified to be is qualified for the election of the members of the House of the People. When you talk about House of the People, we are referring to the Lok Sabha. Okay. So whenever we're talking about Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, it is known as House of the People and House of the Commons. Okay. Upper House. The second one is, a person shall not be eligible for the election as president if he holds any office of profit. Now, what is office of profit? Office of profit. Office of profit means that he is not a government employee and his salary is not being paid through the Consolidated Fund of India. Consolidated Funds of India. So these are the important things that you need to remember. Perhaps first thing is very important for you. The fourth one, you need to just remember this, the wording of it, that is any office of profit. Shall not hold any office of profit. So these are the 4 important requisites. Okay. This is not important. This is also not important for you. 59 article can be removed. Oath and information is just, you need to remember that oath shall be taken by the president under Article 60. Nothing more important than that. Procedure of impeachment of the president. Now, how will he be removed? The first and the foremost thing, that whenever the president is going to be removed for the violation of the Constitution, the charge shall be preferred in either of the houses. It can be brought in the upper house also or in the lower house also. Okay. So upper and lower house, in any of the place, it can be started. But the first and the foremost thing that you need to remember is that once you need to start the procedure of impeachment against the president, okay, so what you need to do is you need to give a 14 days notice. So in the same manner, whenever there is a dispute, you are going to send a legal notice to the person who is the defaulter, that if you don't want that this particular thing should happen, I am informing you that you should abide by the terms, and if not, I will take actions against you. So this is what legal notice is. In the same way, there is a notice that will be provided at least 14 days before to the president that there is impeachment, that is going to take place in this particular house. And in order to get that notice, what is the important requisite? That if somebody wants to impeach the president and they want that the notice be sent, for 14 days notice be sent to the president, that there is impeachment process that is going to be started in this particular house, it needs at least in writing 1/4 signatures of the total number of members of the house with their intention to move this resolution. So 1/4 of the total number. So for example, if there are 400 members in lower house and the impeachment process has to be preferred in the lower house, 400 divided by 1/4, it will be 100. So if at least 100 members, if the total number of members in the Lok Sabha is 400, at least 100 members give this resolution that yes, we want to impeach the president, and if they give this particular thing in writing, then 14 days notice will be served and the proceeding of the impeachment of the president will start. And that notice, that one-fourth of the members, okay, writing, and such resolution has been passed by a majority of not less than two-thirds of the total membership of the house. So, post one-fourth for the notice, and in order to get that one-fourth recommendation, it is required that two-thirds of the total membership accepts that this particular resolution needs to be passed. So, first is one-fourth and second is two-thirds. And when a charge has been so preferred in either of the house, either of the president, parliament, the other house shall investigate the charge or cause the charge to be investigated, and the president shall have the right to appear in such representation. So, if Lok Sabha prefers the impeachment, it will be Rajya Sabha who will be verifying whether this impeachment should take place or not. If the Rajya Sabha feels like that yes, this impeachment process can take place, could take place, they will be giving their recommendation, and after they pass by two-thirds majority of the total membership of the house, okay, once they have passed by two-thirds again, then in that scenario, the president will be has been sustained. Such resolution shall have the effect of removing the president from his office as from the date on which the resolution is so passed. So this is how the impeachment of the president takes place. First, the president will be sent a notice, 14 days notice, that this particular action is going to be taking place against you. And for that particular notice to be sent, we need two-thirds majority membership, which has to be signed by at least one-fourth of the total membership that is present. And then post that, the procedure will begin. The investigation will be done by the other house which has not preferred the impeachment of the president, and once if they pass by their two-thirds majority of the total membership, then the president will stand impeached. So this is the important information that you need to remember in regards to the union and specifically the impeachment of the president. Then if you talk about Article 62, that is not important, that is not relevant for your CLAT examination. Now, we have completed the important portions of the election of the president. What are the qualifications of the president? What is the term of the president? And why is it that it is important that there will be the president of India? Now, vice president, all you need to remember is that there will be a vice president of India under Article 63, it has been mentioned. And the vice president of India will also be an ex officio chairman of the Council of State. It means that vice president is holding two posts, one of vice president itself and the second being an ex officio chairman. What is ex officio? That he might not be present in the Council of States, but he will serve as the chairman of that house and shall not hold any office of profit. The same way it was mentioned for the qualification of the president, it is the same way it has been mentioned for the vice president of India. This is not important for you guys. This is also vice president election. Just you need to remember what are the important criteria. The first one is that he should be a citizen of India. He should be completing the same 35 years of age, and he should be elected to be the member of the Council of State. For the president, it was the members of the Lok Sabha, that is the lower house, or for here, it is the Council of State. There, it was the House of the People. Okay. And the same, it should not hold any office of profit. In the same manner, the term of the vice president stands at 5 years. Okay. And the same manner, he can resign. For the president, it was the vice president to whom it was addressed, and for the vice president, it is the president to whom it has to be addressed. In the same manner, it will be done. Okay. Oath and information, this almost the same. These are not important for you guys, so I'm just skipping it out. This is also not important for you guys. Now, this is important. President's power to grant pardon and sustain. Whenever there is a crime that takes place in the country, and there is a procedure for the punishment of how the accused will be punished. But for serious offences, where which death penalty is granted to the person or imprisonment, lifetime imprisonment is given, once the honorable Supreme Court has passed the judgment coming from the trial courts to the Supreme Court, and once the Supreme Court has pronounced the judgment and all the appeals has been exhausted, then there is one authority, that is the president, who has this power to grant pardons, to grant pardons to the criminals who has been who has been sentenced to an offense. They can suspend that particular offense. If it is going to start from 1st of October, they can suspend it till 10th of October, maybe 5th of November, depends on what exactly is the need for that suspension of that particular uh, imprisonment, remit or commute sentence in certain cases. So this is very important power, and that is what you need to remember. Okay, that is all for Article 72. Council of Ministers and to aid and advise the President of India. This is a very important article. We're going to discuss this one, but I'm just skipping it so that I can show you one important article. That is Article 76. You need to just remember Article 76. There is nothing that you want to read it in here. Attorney General of India has been mentioned in Article 76, and he is considered to be the advocate of the government. Just remember this. It will be easier for you to retain it. Okay, the president shall appoint a person who is qualified to be appointed as a judge of the Supreme Court to be the Attorney General of India. Has been mentioned. What is the duty of the Attorney General of India? He shall give advice to the government upon such legal matters and to perform such other duties for a legal character as may be from time to time referred or assigned to him by the president, and to discharge the function conferred on him upon by the Constitution and their law for the time being in force. And in the performance of the duties, the attorney shall have the right to audience in all the courts of the territory. This is very important for you to remember. And till what is the duration? The duration of the Attorney General of India is during the pleasure of the president. Until unless the president doesn't feel like that he shall be removed, it will not be removed, and shall receive such remuneration as the president may determine. His remuneration will also be divided by the president. Now, question again. Will it be by president itself that the president will be deciding the remuneration? No. In this particular case, the remuneration will be decided by the president only on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. So this is something that you need to remember under Article 76, that is Attorney General of India. So that is more than sufficient for you to remember when you talk about the executives. When you talk about the executive, this is perhaps more than sufficient for you to remember. This complains about the president and the vice president and the Council of Ministers, who will be there to aid and advise the president in its working in regards to the executive functions of the government. So we have, when we talk about when we talk about the part 5 of the Constitution, we have completed the union portion of the we have completed the executive portions of the union, and now we will be moving forward with the legislative portion of the government in our next class. What I would like to request you is that you go through the whole articles starting from Article 52 till Article 77, and you see through it that what exactly the information has been given. The point of this lecture was not actually to explain you that what exactly has been mentioned that is already there, but I wanted to explain you that how the questions will be put in front of you. The paragraphs will be almost the same. There will be certain changes in the terminology and the functioning, and the certain words will be interchanged, and that it will be put in front of you. So you need to minutely observe that what exactly has been written in the question, so that you are able to mark the correct answer. What happens, and what my past experience is, that the students, when they're studying part 5 of the constitution, because when you talk about part 4 and part 3 of the constitution, that is something that is very uh, common. We are obviously discussing what exactly is fundamental rights, fundamental duties, and majority of you whomsoever is viewing this video, they must have already must have already some idea that what are the fundamental right, what exactly is the state's right to equality and everything. But when you talk about the union, when you talk about the executives as such, some of the people might have idea, but there are less chances that they will have all the exact information in regards to part 5 of the constitution. And that is why it becomes very important. The questions that will be put in front by the examiner in your CLAT examination, there will be questions that will be based on case laws in regards to your fundamental rights, fundamental duties, directive principles of state policy. But when you talk about questions that will be coming from part 5 of the constitution, it will not be based on case laws. Maybe there will be some questions, but majority of the questions that you will be seeing in your question papers in regards to part 5 of the constitution, it will be direct copy and paste of the whole article, and with the change or some alterations in the article that will be put in front of you. So you have to minutely observe that what exactly the article is saying, what are the important points. So that is why how you're going to read the article, I've just explained it to you. If you're talking about the president, the first thing that you need to remember is that it will how the president, that there shall be a president. Article 52 is talking. The election of the president will take place by what? It will be taken by the electoral college. The electoral college will consist of what? Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and Legislative Assembly. So in this way, if you remember, you will not be able to forget it, that what are the important requisites, what are the important things that has been mentioned. And if at all there is any sort of alterations or changes that has been it has been brought forward in your in your question paper, then you will easily be able to tackle that question, because you know that what are the requisites, and if there is something odd that has been mentioned in that particular statement, it means that the statement is completely false. So that is what you need to do under this particular portion of the constitution. You need to just read the article thoroughly and make bullet points that what are the important requisites of this particular article, how the election is going to take place in regards to the president, how the election is going to take place in regards to vice president, what are the terms of the president and the vice president, what are their qualifications. All these things that all these things that you need to remember when you're talking about part 5, the union, specifically the executives from the executive part of the government. Okay. With this, I would like to just um, sign out from this video. In our next video, we are going to discuss about the legislative and as well as the judiciary, where which we will be discussing about how the bill, which becomes an act, how the law comes into existence from the parliament. That is what we're going to discuss. And post that discussion, we are going to discuss that how the members of the parliament, that is the members of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, can also be removed if there is certain things that is going to happen. Apart from that, we are going to discuss about the Supreme Court. We're going to discuss about the High Court. When you're going to discuss about the judiciary, the another part of the government, as we have just discussed, that the government is consist of 3 parts, that is the executive, legislative and the judiciary. And we are obviously going to study CLAT. So basically, we are preparing ourselves to become an advocate, maybe in future, maybe some professionals which is related to the law field. So it becomes perhaps very important for any person who is going to study law, that they should know what exactly is the work of the judiciary. And that is why it becomes the most important portion, apart from the fundamental rights and the fundamental duties and directive principles of state policy, in regards to your CLAT examination. So we will be putting our focus in that particular area, and we'll try to understand that how the concept of judiciary has been beautifully framed by the constitution makers under starting from article 124 of the constitution, and how the Supreme Court has been given different powers, starting from its original jurisdiction, appellate jurisdiction, and the civil and the criminal jurisdiction, and what are the other powers that has been provided to the Supreme Court. Okay, with this, I would like to end today's video, and I would again like to recall you and remember and explain to you that whenever you are preparing for CLAT examination, please don't forget that you have to practice a lot. This examination is actually not about the concepts, but rather it is about the consistency and the practice, because you will not be having a lot of time to read the question properly and just mark the correct answer. Your speed should be way too much high, and the speed can be increased by only one manner, by having high rate of reading speed, and then obviously the practice, the continuous practice, which is an essential requisite whenever you are preparing for competitive examinations. So I would again like to recall you that you have to follow those three principles, which is from the very beginning of our lecture series we are discussing, that we follow what? We follow the principle, we practice, and we be persistent. And if we follow these three principles, as I've already guaranteed it to you, you are going to succeed in your CLAT examination. With this, I would like to thank you all for being present in this video. Till then, bye and take care.